What's up guys, my name is Josh and this is going to be a review of the Schiit Magni 3, and this is pretty much recommended for either a budget or a cheap amplifier by a lot of people, and I'm actually not really going to be any different than that. For just a straight up amplifier, there really aren't going to be too many better deals out there, if there are really any at all. Now this review is probably not going to be too long because I'm not trying to beat you over the head with information you probably already know about this guy, but if you want to skip to any particular part, go ahead and jump here. I do want to give a huge shout out to Ryan from Modhouse because he did send me this, so go ahead and check out Modhouse. They mod T50 RPs to make argons, and argons are incredible. There's a link to the review for that down below as well, so make sure to check that out. So thank you, Ryan. I'll be sending this back as soon as I'm done with all the B-roll and stuff for this. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into build. So the build is metal and fairly solid. I mean, it's not particularly heavy, but not light either. It does have a few sharp edges on the backs and on the bottom. Nothing you're gonna cut your hand with or anything like that, but it's a solid metal build and you definitely feel like it's worth $100 you spent on it. So on the front, you've got a 1/4 inch output and a volume knob, and on the back you have your power input. Quick note on the power input is that the brick for it is actually really big, and so you are going to need to put this on either the back of your power strip or on a separate outlet if you have to. And the cord itself measures about 5 feet, so it's not extremely long. Now you have RCA left and right ins. A quick side note on the RCA left and right. On a whim, I just kind of picked up these Amazon Basic RCAs. Pretty well built. Like, I was pretty surprised given how cheap they were. They're pretty solid. They're really well built cables. I left a link down below. Okay, so then you have a high-low gain switch, which who doesn't love a good toggle? And an RCA pre-out that is controlled by the high-low gain switch and the volume knob. So you could hook that up to select powered speakers and control the volume from your desk. Okay, now let's get into the power of this thing. I'm not gonna get super into it, but basically at its maximum output at 16 ohms, it can push out 3 watts. So it's a really powerful amplifier, more than most headphones really ever need. It's pretty much powerful enough to handle pretty much anything you throw at it. Speaking of power, out of all the headphones that I've tested on it, I've had this for about a month now, I wanna say. And I've tested just every headphone that has come in, I've played on that. And the one and only headphone that I don't recommend using this for were the Argon. I was getting right to about 3 o'clock on high gain, which isn't all the way on the volume knob, but that's kind of where I was starting to get a little bit of glare. Now I'll retouch on this glare thing in a second, but for now let's go ahead and jump into the sound. So these have very solid and clean performance from everything from low power requirement in-ears to high power requirement headphones. Like T50s, 6XXs, they were all able to play really well with a ton of headroom on high gain, and it came out very clean, didn't really sound distorted until I hit about that 3 mark. More on that in a second. Are you going to get the absolute most insane like quality and detail out of this amplifier comparing to higher end amps? No, but you do have to go up quite a bit in price to really get something that's better. Honestly, the only amps that I've had here that beat it out is the 1 amp. Other than that, it's got very solid performance. Probably the best you can get for about $100 if you're just looking at an amplifier. That's both in power and sound quality. Now there was kind of a difference between high and low gain, and this is where it gets kind of difficult because if you switch between high and low, you have to readjust the volume. And we all know that if you listen at a louder volume, it's going to appear a little bit more detailed. So this test is subject to my own error, so keep that in mind when I say it. But low impedance seemed a little bit thinner at the same, let's call it apparent volume to me. So I would have it on low impedance, listen to a headphone, repeat the track from where I started before, put it on high impedance, and then bring up the volume to where I felt like it was matched with the same volume level. Now obviously this is going to take some time and it's not going to be an exact A-B comparison, but it did feel like the high gain had a little bit more body to it, and I felt like the low gain was a little bit thin, and I didn't really feel like it filled out in the same way. Now again, that could be my testing error, but I thought I'd mention it. So the glare or the brightness problem. On high gain, about 3 o'clock, I was starting to get pretty bad distortion in the highs. But when I was really paying attention to that, I was listening to the 6XXs, the 4XXs, the Argons, the Blues, the Duconi Blues, the M1060s, and the advanced alphas and the advanced GTR, and they all kind of had the same problem. Right as I hit about 3 o'clock on the volume dial on high gain, I started to get this pretty bad distortion. And the glare though, I'm not sure if this is exactly correct. I don't know if there's like a universal term for glare, but basically what I was getting was the dynamic range in the highs was starting to drastically minimize. And so overall you get this loudness where there shouldn't always be loudness, and it becomes like kind of overbearing, especially in the highs. And that's kind of what I was getting with this about 3 o'clock. But for that testing, I actually had to turn down my source because I could not play the other headphones that loud. It was hurting my ears. The only headphone that could handle that volume, again, was the Argons. So it's also important to note that I've had a Magni, but I had a Magni 1, and this is like 2 years ago, way before I was really paying attention to audio. So it's important to note that this could just be my unit, but I'd love to know if you have any experience with this sort of thing with a Magni down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the conclusion. So this is a 10 out of 10 product. That glare problem is going to be beyond what most headphones could be playing at, and that could be a fault of just this unit. I haven't heard too many other people complain, and that quote unquote glare wasn't anywhere else besides past 3 o'clock on high gain. On low gain all the way up it wasn't a problem, and 75% of the way up on high gain it wasn't a problem, and it didn't seem to affect the way of the sound at all. So for the price, for $100, this is an absolute magnificent deal, and I can't really recommend it anymore. The resolution, the power, the build, it's all very, very good. And for a budget or a cheaper amplifier that you need a lot of power for, I pretty much recommend stopping here, unless I actually think Schiit pretty much hit the nail on the head in regards to upgrading from this. And I'll read directly from their website what they said. It was kind of funny. On their FAQs, they said, so why would I buy any other amps? And they responded, Class A, tubes, you like larger things, lots of reasons really. But we're dead serious, this is all that you need. And I kind of agree with them. For 99% of headphones, this is gonna work perfectly fine. You don't really need a whole lot more power unless you have like a specific requirement, like you want balanced, tubes, a Class A, whatever it is. So is this gonna be absolutely like an end game product for people? Probably not. I wouldn't stop at this, but this is an absolutely, totally respectable amplifier. And I guess that will wrap it up because there really isn't much more I can say about this little guy. Yeah, definitely recommend it. Links to everything are down below. My name is Josh. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not. I do daily videos, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.